Did nothing wrong at all, and we have every right, every single right, to challenge an election that we think is dishonest, that we think it's very dishonest.
Donald Trump is currently facing 4 indictments and a total of 91 felony counts over accusations of attempting to overturn the 2020 election. This has raised a significant question. If Donald Trump loses against these indictments and then goes on to win the 2024 presidential election, could we see a serving president doing prison time? Of the 4 indictments against Trump, 2 are federal and 2 are at state level, coming from New York and Georgia. In the latest indictment, the case of the state of Georgia versus Donald J. Trump et al., Trump and 18 others, including Rudy Giuliani and Sidney Powell, have been accused of election fraud, racketeering, and other charges relating to an alleged conspiracy to, quote, unlawfully change the outcome of the 2020 election in favor of Trump, end quote.
A Fulton County grand jury returned a true bill of indictment, charging 19 individuals with violations of Georgia law arising from a criminal conspiracy to overturn the results of the 2020 presidential election in this state.
Public opinion isn't just divided on the matter, it's completely polarized. Those opposed to Trump argue that he attempted to overturn the 2020 election by discrediting election officials, putting pressure on state officials, and making false claims of widespread voter fraud. While supporters of Trump argue that his concerns over the 2020 election were driven by a commitment to safeguarding the democratic process and maintaining the faith of the American people in their elections, believing his actions to be rooted in a desire for transparency, accountability, and adherence to the rule of law.
The indictments, both at the federal level and at the Georgia state level, have said that Donald Trump, like anybody, has the right to comment on an election. Trump has the right to say he thinks the election was rigged. The question is not that. The question is whether Donald Trump and his 18 co-defendants in Georgia took action knowing that they were issuing false statements. In other words, fraudulent statements, and then took action not just to complain about the election, but to overturn it. In other words, a plan carried out over 3 months to remove the legally selected, the legally elected representatives of Joe Biden, and to parachute in Trump's fake electors to try to overturn the result in Georgia and other states. In other words, trying to cling on to the White House not by being elected, but through deception, or as Trump would put it, through interference.
Legal experts and political pundits alike are debating the possible implications of this latest indictment. If Trump does lose against the Georgia indictment and then wins the 2024 presidential election, the possibility of a serving president facing prison time comes ever closer to being a reality.
Even if he wins the presidential election in 2024, because this is not a federal indictment, this is the state of Georgia indicting him for his trying to, in their words, overturn the results of the 2020 election. Even if he wins the election in 2024, he can't pardon himself. And the pardoning process in Georgia means he'd have to actually serve 5 years before he was even eligible for a pardon. So we could be looking at a situation where a sitting president actually has to serve time in a Georgia prison, because even the state governor, because of Georgia's constitution, couldn't withdraw or pardon Donald Trump. It's quite an extraordinary situation.
Ultimately, the outcome will depend on both Trump's defense in court and constitutional interpretations. What do you think? Should Trump face prison time? Comment below.